time now for our meditation. We'll be using blessings again from Julia Cameron. So, if you will. If we can settle in our seats, feet on the floor, shoulders off our ears, and relax. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And hear these words, knowing they are the truth of each and every one of us. I am unique and irreplaceable. My personality, with all its quirks, foibles, and eccentricities, is a perfect expression of God energy moving into the world. I cherish my divine expression of life. I acknowledge that I am uniquely designed to bring certain energies into play in innovative and a beneficial way for all. There's something in my creative makeup that is necessary to the good of the world. I am designed specifically to make a unique and meaningful contribution. There is a beauty and a purpose to my precise personality. I am not an accident, a mistake, or a haphazard collection of influences. I am a self-evolving and important energy which brings to the world a precise and important healing medicine. My influence and impact on others is a matter of large consequence. Believing this is not a matter of ego. It is a recognition of the divine plan which embraces us all. I am a pivotal and important part of this plan. My actions and attitudes have weight and consequence. As I consciously and creatively come into my full flowering, I bring the best and the brightest of myself as blessings into the world. And contemplate this in the silence. I am a blessing to the world. I am unique and irreplaceable. I am a blessing to the world. So it is, and so we let that be. You can take some nice breaths. Begin to move around and bring yourself back to this place and time. Well, I'm talking about the point of power today, and I have to tell you, I had a lot of practice this week in processing some of these things that I'm going to be talking about. So I was listening to On Being, which is a podcast hosted by Krista Tippett. She was interviewing Craig Minowa, who is a musician with Cloud Cult. And they were talking about Craig's journey through life, about his spiritual understanding, and particularly about music as medicine. So Krista quoted a lyric from one of his songs, and it goes like this. I don't know where we're from, but we came here to be. We came here to be courageous. Then Krista asked him, what would you add in terms of what you're learning about what it means to be human? And this is a portion of his reply. We have to be courageous about laying down our insecurities and our fears in order to get to the point that we can really embrace that energy in us. There was a fact that I read. All of physical matter, as we know, is made of energy, and all physical matter can be converted back into energy. And it takes a tremendous amount of energy to make the smallest particle of matter. And so, in the human body, in the average human body, there's 7 times 10 to the 18th power joules of energy. And that translates into 30 hydrogen bombs. Just this physical body, right here, the energy in it is equivalent to 30 hydrogen bombs I have right now. And that's my only guarantee, he says. I don't know about tomorrow, but I have right now. And I've got this power. What am I going to do with it? So in her new book with her daughter, Linda Martella Whitsett says, you are powerful by virtue of your mind. The mind is the seat of your power. So we've been given the ability to control our thoughts. It's through our thoughts that we create our reality. And how many times have we gone over that? Our third basic principle. I think. So our thoughts have power, and they affect those around us. Well, maybe not every single little thought, but certainly the ones that we give energy to. When you walk into a room and someone is out of kilter with their energy, if there's anger, if there's agitation, there's something going on, when you walk in the room, you know it. You feel it. And there's a discordance in the vibration. We may not know what's going on, but we feel that static, that energetic static of discord. We are all interconnected. The myth of Indra's net shows how connected we really are. Indra was an ancient Hindu god, and Francis H. Cook tells the Indra story this way. Far away, in the heavenly abode of the great god Indra, there is a wonderful net which has been hung by some cunning artificer in such a manner that it stretches out infinitely in all directions. In accordance with the extravagant taste of deities, the artificer has hung single glittering jewel in each eye of the net. And since the net itself is infinite in dimension, the jewels are infinite in number. There hang the jewels, glittering like stars of the first magnitude, a wonderful sight to behold. If we now arbitrarily select one of those jewels for inspection, and we look closely at it, we will discover that on its polished surface there are reflected all of the other jewels in the net, infinite in number. And not only that, But each of the jewels reflected in this one jewel is also reflected in all the other jewels, so that there is an infinite reflecting process occurring. So we are each a jewel in Indra's net, interconnected, integral. We are necessary to this life experience, to the whole. So Linda Martello's new book, by the way, is This Life is Yours, and she's written it with her daughter, Alicia. And here she says, the basis of reality is consciousness. So through our thoughts, we're going to create our reality, and our reality is brought on by consciousness. So invisible thoughts, invisible beliefs, invisible expectations, and invisible intentions create visible reality. Next month, we're going to learn a lot about imagination and creating our reality. So your mind is an amazing phenomenon. And you, each one of us, is absolutely capable of harnessing its power. I think that's our purpose in being here, in having this life. To harness the power of mind by raising our consciousness and exercising dominion. That's what our power is, dominion over our human life experience. In Revealing Word, Fillmore defines dominion as an inner consciousness obtained only through mind discipline. This supreme authority comes as man realizes his oneness with the Father. I like to think oneness in the field of infinite potential. So let's just take a quick review of what inner consciousness is. In our Unity Basics class in Metaphysics 1, we learned there are 4 levels of consciousness. The first one is victim. Life happens to me. I don't really have an understanding that I can have control and power over my life experience. The next step, as my consciousness grows, is now I believe I've got some ability to control things, to control what's happening to me, at least how I perceive what's happening to me, and the perception of my experience is that it's controlled by me. So first it was to me, now it's by me. Our next level is vessel consciousness. Now I'm realizing I have some power of mind. And I'm realizing there's something greater than I am. Or than I'm going to take the am out of that because there's nothing greater than I am. But there's something greater than this human experience. And that is God, Christ, divine mind. And it's in me. I'm a conduit. I'm an instrument of the divine. And as part of this consciousness, I believe God is showing up as me. And finally, we have Verity Consciousness. Now, this is what we're all shooting for. And we go back and forth to all 4 of these. Any given day, any given moment, we're going to be in one of them, but not necessarily in Verity, which is where we're shooting. So Verity is that level of consciousness when I realize, and we know that in metaphysics, when we realize we know that we know that we know oneness, that there is no such thing as a God or divine mind and me, I realize Christ consciousness, and my most profound understanding is that it is me. So taking dominion means developing self-mastery. Working with our core ability of self-reliance, I'm just kind of getting a grasp on what this core ability of self-reliance means. And what it means is that I have an internal locus of control. In me is the power, the source, to control, to manage my life. The Holtons say that recognizing and using our core ability of self-reliance takes us out of victim consciousness and moves us into the active role of charge of our lives, making choice with clarity and with authority. When I know I have that inner resource to control how I see a situation, I can use my power of dominion and see it differently. I can make my next best choice. I take responsibility. That's the key. We take responsibility. And I feel empowered. Linda Martella Whitsitt says, self-mastery is our capacity to guide our thoughts, words, and actions in spiritual integrity. I like that added thought, spiritual integrity, when I am knowing who and what I am, and I am in alignment with that divine. So we cultivate this power by pivoting our awareness away from reactive thoughts and feelings and focusing our attention on how to respond with spiritual power in the moment. And we have gone over that lots of times too, our eye of the storm. We find that calming center. We take that breath and we reconnect to the earth and to the divine. We regain our alignment and we can respond to any situation. Well, I had occasion this week to work with all of this stuff. I had been putting out to the universe that I was watching too much mindless TV. And I wanted to change my habits. I wanted to be more thoughtful and more purposeful in how I invested the time of my day. So guess what? The universe responded in a heartbeat. Right in the middle of preparing for this talk and trying to put our callings, lessons plans together, my internet went out. That meant no TV and no internet for me. So the first day I did what we all do. I said, oh no, how am I going to deal with this? It's really messing up my life now. And then I went to that place of anxiety. You know, how's it going to get fixed? And then there's agitation, my days, all of my process have been interrupted, and I had thrown my power to the wind. And my faith, where was that? Well, the Comcast tech came on day 2 and thought it was fixed. He went out, he did some wiring, he replaced some parts outside, and he came in and he plugged up the modem and said, we're good, because we could get internet on my laptop. I said, great. He left. I thanked him very graciously. And then I thought, oh, this is Wednesday. So I said, okay, great. I'll be able to participate in meditation tonight. So I went to my laptop and I hit Zoom and nothing happened. My internet was still out. So I started reflecting. Where was I off? My talk just wasn't feeling right to me. And what could I do with what I had? I didn't have any choices as far as the internet went because I'm at the mercy of Comcast and their schedule. But I did have a choice on how I perceived it. I decided to go with the flow. Call my faith back on board and keep up my spiritual practices. Do my morning routine. Open my heart and open my mind to possibilities. So on day 3, I'm on my morning walk. And I got it. I got what I did not like about this talk. It was all intellectual. It was all head stuff. I didn't have any skin in this game. But I've got skin in the game now. When I realized that and took responsibility for my experience, the universe responded again My internet was fixed that day. And I was able to continue this process. So we cultivate self-mastery through self-awareness. I looked at myself. How am I being in this situation? And self-control. Make a decision about it. Don't go willy-nilly and just let it run me. And self-discipline. I followed my practices. I did my swim. I did my reading. I did my praying and meditating. So all of this self-mastery means waking into consciousness of who and what we really are. It involves self-care too. And it might be radical self-care, because sometimes it takes us a lot of energy to take care of ourselves before we try to take care of somebody else. When we're taking care of ourselves, when we're eating healthy, when we're exercising these bodies, and when we are attending our spiritual practices, we tend to feel good. We're optimistic. And we align with our higher self and the universe. We place value on ourselves. And I believe self-esteem, self-worth, is the heart of self-mastery. Knowing we are worth it is the energy and the power to claim dominion. In our callings class that's coming up on Tuesday, Greg Lavoie tells the story of Elsa Buckner, I guess it's pronounced. Elsa, at the age of 22, heard the call of adventure and made a vow to herself. Every 5 years, she would stop whatever she was doing and do something different. For more than 50 years, she has done just that. She has worked in accounting, magazine production, advertising, sales, business consulting, and the jewelry business, to name a few. She's written musicals. At the age of 55, she traveled across Europe with a knapsack on her back. And she got married at 70 for the first time. At the start of each venture, she marked her calendar for 5 years hence, and true to her word, moved on. Though she says she's making an exception for her marriage. This is a woman who has dominion over her life. And that brings us to the point of power. First, it's knowing who and what we are. We are fully human, and we are fully divine. And remember this, there's not a spot where God is not. So that means I am God. You are God. And as Fillmore said, and I repeat, translated just a little bit, dominion is an inner consciousness obtained only through mind discipline. This supreme authority comes as we realize our oneness in the field of infinite potential. That's one point of power. No, this is the point of power. The point of power is within, as we get that oneness that we are. So the point of power is within. And just as we pray from the divinity in us, so our power of dominion comes from within. It's that same divine essence. The second point of power is the power of choice. We are always at choice point, and we have 3 access points to the mind. We've got the wisdom of intellect. We have the wisdom of the heart, and we have the wisdom of intuition. We need to tune in and turn it on. And there's a third point, and I think probably this is the main point of power. The real point of power is this now moment. It's the only one we have. So I'd like to close with a quote from my friends, the Doctors Bill and Shareholden. When you discover your essential nature and know who you really are, and that knowing itself is the ability to fulfill any dream you have, because you're the catalyst of eternal possibility and immeasurable potential. The field of infinite potential is pure potentiality in motion. There's no separation between you and this incredible cosmic field, which contains all possibilities and potentials. Thank you. So it's time now for our tithes, the blessing of our tithes and offerings. So, if you will, take those tithes and offerings in your hand, your heart, bless them, and if you are watching online, you can tap that donate button and bless that button too. So, together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so. And so it is. And now for our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you.